Hello people, welcome to a dose of Drew and another edition of Friday Night Knives. Tonight we are looking at the real Steel Solis slip joint in D2 in the all black version. This is actually a really cool little slip joint. Get a couple of the dimensions out here. Overall length is under 7 inches. That is right at about 6 3/4 from tip to tail. Extremely slim as a slip joint with a deep carry pocket clip, back to that in a minute, as well as a lanyard pull that is wasted just a little bit to give the lanyard a place to rest. Fantastic little bit. But before we go too far into the weight category here, check this out, because this is an EDC beast, 1.8 ounces. Woo! That is pretty good. That is really, 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 really good. Oh, let's see. A couple of sandwiches here for the referential size. There's the Para 3. As you can see, it is slightly smaller. This is small. We're only going to do a couple sandwiches because it is obviously a small knife. There it is with the paramilitary sandwich there, the Spyderco sandwich. So often seen. And it's just a blur. And not just any leak, but a random leak. Believe it or not, the leak is one of the closest competitors here with the Solis with significant differences. And we'll come back to that in a minute. Alrighty, and one more sandwich of just general similar sized EDC. This is the Benchmade Bug Out. This is the S30V. I have the FRN scales replaced with carbon fiber, but that is still the S30V version and the Civivi Elementum. As you can see, pretty small, honestly, in a good way. It's a slip joint, so it doesn't lock, and that has its own bits to it. Most namely that you want to know about walk and talk. It has that, which is, I'll come back to that in a minute, better than a 50%, and that's about a 60% stop there instead of half stop. It's right at about the 60. Not quite 2/3, but right at about the 60. The good walk and talk. It is a two-handed opener, and it does not lock. Sheep's foot. Extremely thin blade. Let's talk about that for a minute. Thinner than the Bug Out on the blade stock. And thinner ever so slightly at the base, though just barely, than the leak as well. As you can see, that's it has a similar vibe to especially the random leak, the reverse Tanto version, has a very similar vibe when it comes to blade length, similar style. This is a full flat grind. This is a hollow grind, but man, they both have really thin stock. Robust tips. That's off camera. Let me get that back on here. Robust tips. Extremely thin blade stock. Very slicey profiles. And easy EDC. This thing is so slim, you guys. That brings the design on this. It is a slim EDC. It is a gun stock style handle, which is fantastic for ergonomics. That gun stock style handle does lend itself all right to the thumb, but it really goes better with a sort of pinch grip, which also helps with the slip joint and that stop. That not quite a half stop would pinch your finger and start pushing it down and really drive your finger to the blade. If you do something that gets you to that stop, unless you have really fat fingers, my fingers still got about 1 millimeter before it hits that sharpening choil, which is also great. It does have a sharpening choil, and they easily centered it well on that punch guide. The long finger nick does well also. So the design is really good. Slicey EDC, deep carry clip, really slim and narrow and lightweight. D2 steel for the price is going to be one of the best edge retention steels you can get in this price range. We'll come back to that in a minute. And the aesthetics, that gun stock handle is really nice. For me, that really does. Let me see if I can't get a background on there just to give it a whole lot of silhouette. It just is really nice looking. The aesthetics on this sucker are with that sheep's foot. It has and the kickback. It has a nice, kind of angular symmetry to it that really lends itself to a eye-pleasing design, and one that works astoundingly well with the sheep's foot blade. One of the best blades for a slip joint, in my opinion, because very few forces are going to come on the back of the blade that will tend to close it. All cutting forces are going this way into the lock and not towards your hand. And even if you were to bump it, this thing will snap into that 60-10. Or, that instead of the half stop, we'll call it the half stop. It's at 60. It'll go into the half stop here, and then you'll be able to get out. And the walk and talk is pretty good for a slim little piece here. And that's on the mechanics. The walk and talk is really nice on this. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good. It's got something to it. It tucks in nice when it's in the pocket. It goes in. If you're a lanyard person, it's there. It's rounded. It's chamfered. There's a slot instead of a hole, so you're not really limited on the size of your lanyard too much. If you can squeeze it in there, you can put it in. Giggity. But yeah, so there, the mechanics on it, the design, really well thought out. The mechanics on it, no complaint. It's not the hardest walk and talk, but this, if it's an EDC and something you may use a lot, for just easy, good little bits, scoring, opening a package, it is not. I mean, you can use it one-handed. You can close it one-handed like a double D10, where you have your fingers out, but I think that was completely off camera. So you can totally do it one-handed. But opening it, there really isn't a good way. There's not like a thumb stud or anything. And the deep carry clip lets it sink into your pocket. I have carried this already as part of the noteworthy points. This is easily carryable in something like athletic shorts, or sweats, or if you just have crappy thin pants that you wear when you do laundry. Maybe I'm the only one. This will still actually fit on your pocket. You can throw your keys in there and your knife, and you're good. Like I can carry the keys and a pocket knife, and my phone's in my hand, and I'm out doing laundry. I'm good to go. And that brings me. That's the noteworthy points on this is just how good of a slim EDC carry this is, because this is a really, really good EDC carry. And that's on the intended purpose. The intended purpose on this is absolutely EDC. It is all over it. It is a part of everything this thing seems to do. My apologies, just had a little spill. But everything that this seems to do is oriented towards EDC, including the built-in deep carry pocket clip that's recessed, and it looks pinned. It may just be on the inside there that there's a screw head. I haven't pulled it apart yet, but it definitely has a look of something like it's coming through. And again, here, my apologies on all this. I had a slight spill in the middle of here, and I'm making sure that the towel is right there. So, once again, the towel is done, and we will just have to deal with the fallout later. Because, we're recording, so there we go. Anyway, yes. And that's the intended purpose is EDC, and it does EDC outstanding. I mean, the comfort in either hand, one, the super slim, super slicey. And I believe this is the Solis Light, I think is also the name of it. It's I believe it is. Some people may or may not like this. But it's definitely an EDC there. And that brings to the cost of value, which is really, this is a $50 knife. Some people don't like slip joints, but for a D2, really, really, really well made. And how many, I don't have another knife that has a blade stock this thin. Except for maybe a kitchen knife. And again, I may have to bring a white background just to show. Maybe this will. Because inches don't always seem to do. So this is a 2mm blade stock. 2mm blade stock is 0.08. That says 0.08 or approximately. It's about 25.4 millimeters to an inch. So 1/25 is approximately 0.04, 4 100ths. Two of those is approximately 0.08, slightly over 0.08 there on the blade stock or thereabouts. Close enough for eyeballing. We're talking thousandths of an inch here that I may not be able to eyeball very well, but 0.08 on the blade stock. Absolutely incredible when it comes to sliciness. There's just no other way to get there. As far as it goes, and I mean, I consider this a sheep's foot, not a Warncliffe. It's a straight with a rounded, robust tip. It's not an angle, so it's not a reverse Tonto. I mean, honestly, seriously, Tonto is a full design. The only reverse Tonto I know of is this one. That's a reverse Tonto. To the point of where it has 2 pins. Come on. And pentagonal scales. That's a reverse Tonto. Okay, it's not just a blade. It's a whole design. Rant over. Anyway. So, and that's really where I bring it into the leak. The blade size, extremely thin, extremely slicey. Very, very useful hand. Extremely thin. Slimmer, easily slimmer than the... I take that back. When it comes to the stainless steel, the handle is not slimmer. Overall, no, because that's a deep carry clip. So let me see. Oh, that'll get the look better. So yeah, there we go. Ooh. Boy, that's still not going to work. I got the white paper here so you can see the difference, but it's maybe not happening. Anyway, the stainless steel version of the leak is still slimmer in the handle. This really only has it because there's so much chamfering on the G10. Fantastic little slip joint. Absolutely fantastic. At $50, this is something that, I mean, D2 has edge retention when properly heat treated and a good edge on it. S35VN and D2 have very similar edge retention possibilities. And D2 is not stainless and it's not as tough. The coating on this helps with the stain resistance, and the thin blade stock will help with the toughness, allowing for, even if you have a slightly more obtuse secondary bevel, or something to give it a little more toughness at the very edge, it's not going to have to go very far before it's just done getting around the blade. So the thin blade stock gives you very, very sliciness. I got this thinking it might be an okay slip joint. I thought I'd get it and try it because Real Steel has some stuff. There's definitely some other knives of theirs that I like very much. And so I thought I'd try it. And I do like gun stock style handles like this. Especially if they got a kick. In fact, a modified gun stock handle. I would even say that this is similar to a modified gun stock handle, though. You can see there's... Oh, there we go. Yeah, and the Falco is one of my favorite handle designs ever. Even better, even more than this. Despite how cool this one is, I think I may like the Falco better. But the gun stock design is a tried and true, long-standing design for having room, and you can grip it in a gorilla grip. You can get... There's room, especially with that sweep here, and a little bit of butt support back there. You can get a total saber grip on it. Even support, like when that's going to come. You can support that, so if something starts to go, your hand's a little on there. But yeah, it'll keep your fingers hanging out. And if you're in the very, very controllable, detail-oriented pinch grip, something like you're trying to do scoring. right? And you're going through and you're like, well, if you're doing that, you have no reason to let it. But if for any reason that goes, and it has a decent enough spring, you're going to feel it doing it. You can stop whatever you're doing. If something hit, look, if you're using a slip joint and you're doing it near any tools that's going to possibly hit the back of your knife and smack it close on you, you need to have a locking blade. Let's just get over this, right? It's a slip joint. It is meant to do tasks like open an envelope, open a box, cut some tape, cut paper, cut a paper. It is meant to do small, everyday style cutting and opening tasks. This blade is one of the best for it, and D2 is a great steel for that. It will last 4 days, and this slim blade stock means that it will just cut through cardboard, something I can personally attest to. This little sucker will destroy cardboard with the best of them. It is fantastic. Like I said, my expectations was decent EDC. What I got was an outstanding EDC slip joint. Very, very carryable. Doesn't print well in the pocket. Black goes well with everything but light colors, and even then it just kind of stands out. Right? Black goes with everything, okay? And so really, the expectations, it exceeded. Do I have any requests? Honestly, if anything, it would be to give me a one-hand opening version of it. I realize that changes its legality in lots of areas, but this is such a great little design. If you could put this into something, if you could give me a flipper version or a thumbs, give me a locking version of this knife too, because it is a leak competitor, big time. Give me something like this that I can open and close with one hand and it locks, so I don't ever have to worry about safety or what I'm using my knife for, or do I have to switch out for the task. Give me something like that, because the only thing I can say is I want more. I want all of this but more of it. I want all the goodness of this with the goodness of like these things. Like, give me something like that. Give me anything. Give me one-handed opening on this. Give me a locking one-handed opening version of the Solis. Somehow, give me something that you can do here that allows me to have it. Because that's what I tend to collect, and I have flippers and locking knives. The safety of a locking knife, the convenience of one-handed opening and closing when you have your hands on a task is something I very much like. I understand there's legalities. I have the very same problem with what I carry, and one of the reasons why I got this knife is a sub 3-inch blade. It is a non-locking knife that it is a non-locking knife that has to open with 2 hands and has a sub 3-inch blade. That makes it legal in a lot of places, not just in America. So I really wanted to take a look at that. And there's a lot of greatness. I mean, there's not much you don't need this to do, a pocket knife to, there's not much you need a pocket knife to do that this doesn't do very well. Very few things. The biggest thing is convenience, safety, and the fact that a slip joint is very, very robust while being simple. So this is a knife that you can have for a long time. Again, the full flat grind on D2 with such a thin blade stock, this sucker's going to hold an edge for a long time. If you just use this on a every once in a while basis, you're going to lose more edge to corrosion than probably wear. And that's good. And that brings me to the next one. This is a 5-star EDC slip joint, and I don't say that lightly. This is a great EDC slip joint. The design of it is well thought out. There's really no detail that isn't part of the design of the knife, and that's a very, very, very high compliment to the knife, including things like the lines. Again, I'm gonna have to bring it. The way it just doesn't show up as well. The line here that goes down, the line that goes here, and then the matching curve that helps pull it out. I've seen other like Isham Blade Works. I've seen some other custom knives that really accentuate the beauty of this design and how comfortable it is, despite it looking weird. But it really, really is a good design. The aesthetics blend directly into the usability and the function and ergonomics of the design. That the design and the aesthetics and the mechanics are a single cohesive unit, and that really, really is hard to beat. It's inexpensive without being cheap. It's Chinese made, but it has D2 steel with a good heat treat. Nice, relatively straight. It is not 100% straight. Let's just get that. There is some curve. Let me see if, oh boy, I'm going to need the stupid white paper again. There is indeed some curve to that. Right? You can see right there. There's curve to that. So it's not a completely straight, which really, again, tells me it's a shaped foot. So it's not completely straight, but it's straight enough to essentially be there. And if you sharpen it just a couple of times on the straight strokes and re-bevel it, you can give that a straight secondary bevel all day long. And with an intended purpose of being an EDC monster. And it is, man, if you're not a hard EDC user, or you're not anything like that, and you have legality problems, or you're just like, I just don't need a locking knife, I don't need the problems, the hassles, but I want something cheap that's good. Boom. That is a knife for you, especially if you have other legality things like one-handed opening or two-handed opening if it locks, or slip. There's a lot of other stuff that some people have, some locales, have to handle and have to deal with. So this one checks off a lot of those boxes. It's not under 2.5, but it's not an automatic. So there's other stuff. And at $50 in most places for the black blade that helps reduce a little bit of the corrosion problems, and the full blacked out hardware and the Edc Carry clip, you're looking at most places around $50 at the time of this recording. That's hard to beat. And if you're expecting something that does that, you will not be disappointed. This will open envelopes all day. I mean, this really is a plastic piercer, a saran wrap slicer, a cardboard carver, and an envelope eviscerator. Slim in the pocket, easy to carry, where it just looks like a clip, so you don't see other things poking out. It doesn't look like you have giant, knife stuff sticking out. You just have something in your pocket. And it's slim, so it doesn't overly look like it. And that's really good. And for a design that blends so much together, it really gives me the fine points. The design purpose is for an EDC slip joint that looks good and is safe for a standard slip joint. There isn't anything about that design this thing misses. There just isn't. This hits all of the stuff that it blends the aesthetics into the design. The mechanics are great for what it is and what it does. This is a dry slip joint. I've been working this whole time, you guys. This thing has not been, as I screw it up, this thing has not been oiled. I have been using this dry as most slip joints. I have not done maintenance on this yet. This is after use and everything. This thing is doing great. So that's a noteworthy point. It's robust. It's aesthetically pleasing. The design is the looks don't lie to you. What it looks like it does is what this thing does. And it does it very well at a good price point. $50 isn't the cheapest knife out there. There's other knives you can find for around that price that are really, really good. You're looking at other knives. There's lots of stuff. So that's a tough competition. But if you have the requirements, or if you just like slip joints, and you're like, you know what, this is going to give you better edge retention than 154 CM or many of the other slip joint steels. If you go to like 420HC, 440B, 8CR13 or OS8, whichever ones, they're the same thing. A lot of that is, if you're going to see, this is a better steel. It's going to give you in this price range, you're probably the best edge retention you're going to get for the most part. So yeah, it does it all well in a very aesthetically pleasing, well-managed package. The lines look good closed. The lines look good open. The design is something that tells you exactly what it's for, what it does. You expect it to do that. When you get it, it does it, and it does it well. Like I said, the only request I have is give me this same design consistency and fidelity in a lock bar or locking version of this knife. Give me this same beauty and design consistency, elegance, and just purity in a knife I can one hand open and close and lock. That's my only request on that. So on the damn nice scale, we hit everything in a very, very inexpensive, well thought out package. Kudos to Real Steel on the Solis. They did a great job on an EDC slip joint. And that right there is one of the highest things. 5 stars for an EDC slip joint. Highly recommended if you're in the market for it. If you're not in the market for it, it's not the knife. But I, again, appreciate it for what it is. One of the best EDC slip joints out there. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up, you guys. Again, highly recommended. This is the Real Steel Solis slip joint, one of the best ones out there. And so we'll go ahead and wrap this up with that. Recommend it. Go ahead and do it. So go ahead and take this video, watch it twice. Comment as much as you like. Be mindful of side effects. Remember to like and subscribe. This has been your Dose of Drew. I am Sad Drew, and you guys have a great rest of your night.